My love, I am home. Felicia's voice sounded warm and normal, but inside her chest, her heart was beating like a drum. Nicholas stepped into the living room with a bright smile, carrying 2 tall glasses of juice on a silver tray. The marble floor shined under the chandelier, and the air smelled like fresh oranges. He placed the glasses carefully on the center table, as if he was serving a queen. "Welcome, my love," he said gently. "You must be tired. Drink this. It will help you relax." Felicia's eyes went straight to the juice in front of her. It looked perfect, golden, clean, cold. But she knew a deadly secret was hiding inside it. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the glass. Then she forced herself to stop. She smiled, the kind of smile she had used in board meetings when she had to hide fear and still look strong. "Nick," she said softly, "my eyes." Nicholas froze. "Your eyes?" "Yes," Felicia said quickly, blinking fast like something was hurting her. "Something entered my eyes outside. Please, please get me water. I need to wash my face." Nicholas hesitated for half a second. Just half a second. But Felicia noticed, and in that half second she saw it. Not love, not worry. A tiny flash of anger, like she had interrupted something important. "The maid?" Nicholas asked, looking around. "Where is Hilda?" "She is busy outside," Felicia lied smoothly. "Please, Nicholas, water." Nicholas nodded and hurried toward the kitchen. The moment his footsteps disappeared, Felicia's smile vanished. Her face turned cold and sharp. Her hand shot out. She grabbed the glass closer to her, then grabbed the other one too. And in one fast move, she switched them. Her breath came out in short, shaky bursts. She could almost hear Hilda's whisper again. "Don't talk. Just listen." Felicia's eyes filled with tears, but she forced them back, because if she cried now, she might lose her courage. And if she lost her courage, she might lose her life. Nicholas returned with a bowl of water and a towel. "There," he said, trying to sound sweet. "Wash your face." Felicia dipped her hands, splashed water gently, and dabbed her face like a calm woman who had nothing to fear. But inside her head, her thoughts screamed, "You tried to kill me. You planned my death like it was a business deal. You called another woman your future wife." Felicia sat back down, picked up the glass, now the safe one, and raised it to her lips. Nicholas picked up the other glass, the poisoned one. He smiled again. "To us," he said. Felicia's stomach twisted. She lifted her glass slightly. "To us." Then she drank. Nicholas took a slow sip too. 1 sip, 2 sips. His face stayed normal at first. Felicia stared at him, counting silently in her mind. 1, 2, 3. Then it happened. Nicholas suddenly stopped drinking. His smile fell. He blinked hard like he could not understand what was happening. His hand pressed against his stomach. "Ah," he groaned. Felicia stayed still, watching him like a judge watching a criminal. Nicholas's breathing became rough. He stood up fast, but his legs shook. He grabbed the edge of the table. His glass slipped from his fingers and crashed on the marble floor. The sound was sharp, loud and final. Nicholas's eyes widened with terror. "Felicia," he whispered, his voice cracking. "My stomach." He took 1 step, then dropped to his knees. His body curled as pain hit him like fire. He rolled on the floor, clutching himself, moaning loudly. "What? What did you do?" he cried, tears springing to his eyes. "My drink. What did you do to my drink?" Felicia slowly stood up. She looked down at him. This was the man she had loved for 15 years, the man she had trusted with her heart, her home, and her company. And now he was crying on the floor like a child because his own evil plan had turned back on him. Felicia's voice came out calm, too calm. "I did nothing," she said. "I simply exchanged the juice." Nicholas froze. Even through the pain, his face changed. It changed from confusion to fear, to shock. "No," he whispered. Felicia leaned closer, her eyes cold like steel. "Yes," she said, "so you wanted to poison me, and now you drank the poison yourself." Nicholas shook his head wildly, rolling again, crying louder. "Felicia, please," he begged. "Please, I did not mean, please help me." At that moment, the door creaked softly. Hilda stepped in. She was still in her worn-out maid uniform, her hands trembling. Her eyes were wide and watery, but her face was brave. She looked at Nicholas on the floor. Then she looked at Felicia. "Madam," Hilda said in a shaking voice, please call an ambulance." Felicia's chest rose and fell. For a moment she looked like she might collapse, because no matter how wicked Nicholas was, watching a human being suffer like that was still straszno, still scary. But then Felicia remembered the kitchen, the hidden poison, the call she heard. Nicholas's voice saying, "Call Dianiela to prepare the change of company name once the doctor confirms she's dead." Felicia's hands clenched into fists. She turned away and pulled out her phone. She called emergency services with steady fingers. When she finished, she stared at Nicholas again. He crawled toward her across the marble floor, his suit wrinkled, his face sweaty, his lips shaking. "Felicia, I'm sorry," he sobbed. "Please don't let me die. I beg you." Felicia did not answer. She just watched him. The mansion that used to feel like a palace now felt like a trap. A beautiful trap filled with lies. Outside, the sound of the ambulance siren began to grow louder. Hilda stepped closer to Felicia, her voice small. "Madam," she whispered, "I tried to warn you the best way I could. He was saying everything in the kitchen. He did not know you came in." Felicia's throat tightened. She turned to Hilda, and in that moment her eyes softened for the first time. "Thank you," Felicia whispered back. "You saved my life." Hilda broke into quiet tears. Nicholas groaned again, louder this time, his body shaking. The poison was working fast. Felicia looked at him and spoke with a voice that cut like a knife. "You were ready to watch me die," she said. "You were ready to take my name, my company, my money, and marry another woman." Nicholas shook his head, crying. "No, I was confused. Felicia raised her hand. "Stop," she said. The ambulance finally arrived. The front gate opened. Footsteps rushed in. 2 paramedics entered with a stretcher. As they lifted Nicholas, he reached out weakly toward Felicia, as if she was his last hope. "Please, Felicia, please." Felicia stepped back. She did not hold his hand. She did not comfort him, but she followed behind as they pushed him out, because she needed to see the truth through to the end. As the stretcher rolled out of the mansion, Nicholas suddenly screamed louder than before. His whole body jerked. The paramedics exchanged worried looks. One of them checked his pulse. Then the man's face went tight. "We need to move faster," he shouted. Felicia's breath caught in her throat. Hilda grabbed Felicia's arm, gripping it tightly. "Madam," Hilda whispered, shaking, what if he doesn't make it?" Felicia stared at the stretcher as they pushed it into the ambulance. Her mind spun like a storm. Because if Nicholas died tonight, then the police would ask questions, people would talk. And Dianiela, the secretary, might run. Or worse, she might strike first. The ambulance doors slammed shut. The siren blared again, even louder as it sped away. Felicia stood in the driveway, frozen. Hilda's hand was still holding her arm. Felicia swallowed hard, then she whispered words that made Hilda's eyes widen. "Hilda, we are not safe yet." And just as Felicia said that, her phone rang, a private number. Felicia stared at it. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then she slowly answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice came through, smooth, confident, and cold. "Felicia," the voice said, "I heard there was an accident at your house." Felicia's blood ran cold, because she knew that voice. It was Dianiela, and Dianiela added, almost like a quiet laugh, "Tell me, did Nicholas drink the juice?" Felicia did not answer immediately. The night air suddenly felt heavy, like it was pressing against her chest. The bright lights of the mansion driveway blurred as her eyes fixed on nothing. "Felicia," Daniela's voice came again, calm and smooth. "Are you there?" Hilda tightened her grip on Felicia's arm. Her eyes were wide with fear. Felicia swallowed hard and forced her voice to stay steady. "Yes," she said, "I'm here." There was a short pause on the line, then a soft laugh. "I knew it," Dianiela said. "I could feel it in my bones. Something went wrong, didn't it?" Felicia's heart pounded, but she said nothing. Dianiela continued, her tone playful. "Nicholas was so careful. He planned everything so well. I even reminded him to measure the poison properly. So tell me, did he give you the juice? Felicia closed her eyes for 1 second. 15 years. 15 years of marriage. And the woman speaking to her now had been sitting in her office every day, smiling, typing, calling her mom. Felicia opened her eyes again. Yes, she said slowly, he gave me the juice. Dianiela laughed softly. Good. That means he drank it himself, Felicia cut in. The silence on the line was loud, so loud that Felicia could hear her own breathing. What? Dianiela finally said. Felicia straightened her back. He drank the poisoned juice. He is on his way to the hospital now. Another silence. Then Daniela's voice dropped, sharp and angry. You are lying. Felicia smiled faintly. Am I? You would be dead by now, Dianiela snapped. Nicholas would never make such a mistake. Felicia glanced at Hilda, then looked toward the road where the ambulance had disappeared. He made many mistakes tonight, Felicia said calmly, starting from trusting you. Dianiela breathed hard into the phone. You think you are clever, she said bitterly, but you are finished, Felicia. Whether Nicholas survives or not, you cannot escape this. Felicia felt a chill run through her body. What do you mean? Dianiela laughed again, but this time there was no sweetness in it. The documents, she said. The power of attorney, the backup signatures. Nicholas already signed them. By morning, your company name will be changed. Felicia's heart skipped. What documents? She asked. Dianiela hesitated, just for a second, and that second told Felicia everything. You talk too much, Felicia said. You just exposed yourself. Dianiela cursed under her breath. Felicia ended the call without another word. Her phone slipped slightly in her hand as she lowered it. Hilda looked up at her, her voice trembling. Madam. What did she say? Felicia took a deep breath. She thinks she has already won, Felicia said, but she has made a mistake. What mistake, madam? Hilda asked. Felicia looked at the mansion behind them, the walls she built, the life she paid for, the marriage she thought was love. She forgot who I am, Felicia said quietly. I am not just a wife, I am a billionaire CEO. They went back inside. The house felt different now, cold, empty, as if it had been holding secrets in its walls for years. Felicia walked straight to her private study. She opened her laptop and powered it on. Hilda stood by the door, unsure. Come in, Felicia said. Tonight you stay close to me. Hilda nodded and stepped inside. Felicia's fingers moved fast over the keyboard, passwords, security checks, encrypted folders. Her company logo filled the screen. She clicked into the legal department files, and then her heart dropped. Some files were missing. Madam, Hilda whispered, noticing her face change. Felicia leaned back slowly. They tried to move assets, not everything, but enough to cause damage. Hilda's eyes widened. So what do we do? Felicia stared at the screen, her mind racing. We fight, she said. But carefully. Her phone rang again. This time it was the hospital. Yes, Felicia answered. The doctor's voice was serious. Mrs. Okoye, your husband survived the emergency surgery, but the poison caused serious nerve damage. Felicia closed her eyes. He is alive? She asked. Yes, the doctor said, but he may never walk again. He is awake and asking for you. Felicia said nothing for a long moment. I will come, she finally said. She ended the call and turned to Hilda. Hilda, she said softly, you did something very brave today. You saved me. Hilda shook her head, tears rolling down her cheeks. I was scared, madam, very scared. So was I, Felicia said, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what is right even when you are afraid. They changed quickly and left for the hospital with security. As the car drove through the quiet Lagos streets, Felicia stared out the window. She remembered Nicholas when they were young, when he had nothing. When he held her hand and promised never to hurt her. The hospital lights were bright and harsh. Nicholas lay on the bed, tubes attached to his body. His face looked older, smaller. A wheelchair stood near the bed. Felicia walked in slowly. Nicholas turned his head and saw her. Tears filled his eyes immediately. Felicia, he whispered. You came. Felicia stood at a distance. Yes, she said, I came to hear the truth. Nicholas cried openly now. I was weak. I was greedy. Dianiela, she filled my head. I thought. Felicia raised her hand. Don't blame her alone. You chose this. Nicholas nodded weakly. Please, forgive me. Felicia looked at him. The man who tried to kill her, the man who planned her funeral. I forgive you enough not to hate you, she said, but I am done being your wife. Nicholas gasped. No, please. You will not return to my house, Felicia said firmly. You will not touch my company again. She turned to leave. Behind her, Nicholas cried out her name again and again. Felicia did not turn back. Outside the hospital room, Hilda was waiting. Madam, she said softly. Felicia placed a hand on her shoulder. This is not the end, Hilda. Dianiela is still out there. As they walked away, Felicia's phone buzzed. A message notification. Unknown sender. She opened it. You may have won tonight, but the board meets tomorrow morning, and they will choose me. Felicia stopped walking. Her jaw tightened. She typed a reply slowly. Then tomorrow the truth will be exposed. She slipped the phone back into her bag. Felicia looked ahead, her eyes burning with quiet fire, because the real battle had not even begun yet. And tomorrow, everything would change. Morning came too fast. Felicia did not sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed as the first light of dawn crept through the tall glass windows of her bedroom. The city of Lagos slowly woke up outside, unaware that a silent war was about to begin inside one of its biggest companies. Her phone lay beside her. Quiet. Too quiet. Felicia stood up, walked to the mirror and looked at her reflection. She did not see fear anymore. She saw focus. She dressed carefully, an elegant navy blue suit, white inner blouse, gold jewelry and low heels. The same look she wore on days she closed Billionaire deals. Days she faced men who underestimated her. Today was one of those days. In the guest room down the hall, Hilda sat awake, already dressed in a simple clean dress Felicia had given her the night before. You did not sleep too? Felicia asked gently. Hilda shook her head. I kept thinking, what if they try something again? Felicia nodded. They will, but we will be ready. They left the mansion with heavy security. As Felicia's convoy moved through the city, she received messages one after another. Emergency board meeting confirmed. Media interest increasing. Dianiela arrived early. Felicia smiled faintly. Let her arrive early, she thought. It will give her more time to panic. When Felicia entered the company building, the atmosphere changed. People whispered. Some looked shocked. Others avoided her eyes. A few bowed their heads in respect. Felicia walked straight ahead, her steps steady, her back straight. She was not here as a victim. She was here as the owner. Inside the boardroom, the long glass table shined under bright lights. Large screens lined the walls. The company logo glowed proudly behind the chairman's seat. Dianiela was already there. She sat confidently, dressed in a sharp red suit, her hair neatly styled. She looked calm, but her fingers tapped lightly on the table. Felicia noticed. Dianiela looked up and smiled. Felicia, she said sweetly, I wasn't sure you would make it after everything. Felicia took her seat without answering. Board members filed in one by one, men and women who had built fortunes alongside Felicia. Some nodded at her respectfully, others looked unsure. The chairman cleared his throat. We are here, he said, to address serious concerns regarding the leadership of this company. Dianiela leaned forward immediately. Mr. P. Chairman, she said smoothly, with all due respect, the CEO's personal life has now become a threat to this company's stability. Felicia raised an eyebrow. Dianiela continued, there was a poisoning incident involving her husband. Police involvement is likely. Investors are nervous. The company needs protection. Felicia finally spoke. And your solution? She asked calmly. Dianiela smiled wider. Temporary transfer of executive control. Until things settle, murmurs filled the room. Felicia folded her hands on the table. And who do you suggest should take over? She asked. Dianiela did not hesitate. Myself. Silence fell. Felicia looked around the room, studying every face. Then she laughed. Not loudly, just enough to confuse everyone. Dianiela frowned. What is funny? Felicia leaned forward. "You are bold," she said. "I will give you that." She turned to the chairman. "Before anyone makes decisions, I would like permission to speak." The chairman nodded. "You may proceed." Felicia stood. "This company," she began, "was built from nothing. I built it. I signed every major deal. I own the majority shares." She looked directly at Dianiela, "And no one, no assistant, no secretary, no mistress, takes it from me." Gasps echoed around the room. Daniela's face tightened. "That is a serious accusation," Dianiela snapped. "You have no proof." Felicia smiled. "Don't I?" She turned slightly. "Hilda," she said. Everyone looked toward the door. Hilda stepped inside slowly, holding a small recording device and a folder. Daniela's eyes widened. "What is this nonsense?" Dianiela demanded. Felicia spoke clearly. "This young woman saved my life." And she heard everything. Hilda's voice shook, but she spoke. "I heard Mr. Nicholas on the phone in the kitchen," Hilda said. "He said he had already put the poison in the juice. He said he would give Madam the poisoned one. He said after she died, the company name would be changed. And he said he would marry Miss Dianiela and travel with her." The room exploded with noise. Dianiela jumped to her feet. "She is lying." Felicia raised her hand. "Play the recording." Hilda pressed a button. Nicholas's voice filled the room. "Call Dianiela to start preparing the change of company name once the doctor confirms she's dead." The room fell silent. Daniela's face drained of color. "That recording could be fake," Dianiela shouted. Felicia nodded. "That is why I brought more." She clicked her tablet. Emails appeared on the screen. Transfer requests, forged documents, Daniela's signature, dates, times. Dianiela staggered back into her chair. "This is impossible," she whispered. Felicia's voice hardened. "You planned my death. You planned to steal my company. You used my husband's weakness." Dianiela shook her head violently. "Nicholas forced me. He said he loved me." Felicia leaned closer. "He loved my money." Security officers stepped closer to Dianiela. The chairman stood slowly. "This meeting is adjourned," he said. "Miss Dianiela, you are suspended with immediate effect pending investigation." Dianiela screamed. "You cannot do this." Felicia's eyes were cold. "Oh, I can. And I just did." Dianiela was escorted out, shouting and crying. The boardroom slowly emptied. Felicia sat back down, exhaustion washing over her. The chairman approached her quietly. "You handled that well," he said. "But this is not over." Felicia nodded. "I know." Later that afternoon, Felicia returned to the hospital. Nicholas sat in a wheelchair now, his eyes dull. Felicia stood in front of him. "You lost everything today," she said. "Your marriage, your comfort, your future." Nicholas wept. "Please, don't throw me away," Felicia sighed. "I will make sure you are treated medically, but you will never step into my home again." Nicholas whispered, "Dianiela, what happened to her?" Felicia turned to leave. She ran, like a rat. That evening, Felicia returned home. Hilda stood by the window looking outside. "Madam," she said softly, "there is someone at the gate." Felicia frowned. "Who?" Hilda swallowed. "A woman. She says she knows secrets about the poison." Felicia's heart skipped. "Her name?" Felicia asked. Hilda hesitated. "She says her name is Dianiela." Felicia slowly turned toward the door, and in that moment, the lights in the mansion suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Hilda gasped. Felicia reached for her phone, then a calm voice spoke from behind them. "You should have let me leave quietly." Felicia froze, because the voice was very close and very familiar. Darkness filled the mansion like a thick blanket. Felicia stood completely still. Hilda's breath came out in short, frightened gasps beside her. "You should have let me leave quietly." Daniela's voice echoed softly in the darkness, calm but sharp, like a blade held close to the skin. Felicia slowly raised her chin. "Turn on the lights," Felicia said evenly. "There's no need for drama." Daniela laughed. "Drama? You ruined my life today. This is not drama. This is closure." A small click sounded, then the lights flickered back on. Dianiela stood near the staircase. Her red suit was gone. She wore a dark jacket and jeans now, like someone ready to disappear. Her face looked different. No makeup smile, no office confidence, just anger and fear mixed together. Behind her, one of the mansion's security guards lay unconscious on the floor. Hilda let out a soft cry. Felicia's eyes narrowed. "You assaulted my staff." Dianiela shrugged. "He stood in my way." Felicia stepped forward slightly, placing herself in front of Hilda. "You have nerve," Felicia said, "coming back here." Daniela's eyes burned. "You took everything from me." "No," Felicia replied, "I took back what was mine." Daniela's hands shook. "Nicholas promised me a future. He promised me your world." Felicia's voice dropped. "And you believed a man willing to murder his wife?" Daniela flinched. "I loved him," Daniela whispered. Felicia laughed bitterly. "No, you loved power." Daniela's jaw tightened. "I didn't come here to argue." She reached into her jacket. Hilda screamed, "Madam!" Felicia's heart raced, but she did not move. Daniela pulled out a phone. Not a weapon. Felicia exhaled slowly. Daniela raised the phone. "This," she said, "is insurance." She pressed play. Nicholas's voice filled the room again, but this time it sounded weaker, desperate. "Daniela, please, if anything happens to me, make sure the documents are signed." Felicia clenched her fists. Daniela smiled thinly. "He trusted me, even at the hospital, even after everything." Felicia shook her head. "That recording means nothing now." "Oh, it does," Daniela said, "because if I release it, the media will tear you apart. Billionaire CEO poisons husband. They won't care about the truth." Hilda stepped forward suddenly. "That is a lie." Daniela turned sharply. "Stay out of this, Maid." Felicia's eyes flashed. "Do not call her that," Felicia snapped. "She is worth more than you will ever be." Daniela scoffed. "Then why is she still standing behind you?" Felicia answered calmly. "Because loyalty stands where money cannot buy." Daniela's hand tightened around the phone. "I came for a deal," Daniela said. "Let me leave the country quietly. No police. No charges. I disappear." Felicia stared at her. "And if I refuse?" Daniela's smile returned. "Then I press one button." Silence fell again. Hilda whispered, "Madam, what do we do?" Felicia did not answer immediately. Instead, she reached slowly into her pocket. Daniela stiffened. "Don't try anything stupid." Felicia pulled out her own phone. "You see," Felicia said calmly, "you made one mistake tonight." Daniela frowned. "What mistake?" "You assumed I was alone." Felicia pressed a button. The large TV screen on the wall suddenly turned on. Security footage appeared. Daniela's face drained of color. The video showed her sneaking into the compound, knocking out the guard, disabling the lights, then her standing right where she was now, time-stamped, clear, sharp. Daniela stumbled back. "No, no. You don't understand." Felicia's voice cut through the room like steel. "I understand perfectly." Sirens sounded in the distance. Daniela spun around. "You called the police?" Felicia nodded once, the moment the lights went out. Daniela's breathing became fast and uneven. "You said you wanted closure," Felicia continued. "This is it." Daniela backed toward the door. Hilda suddenly stepped beside Felicia, her voice trembling but firm. "You cannot escape anymore." Daniela laughed hysterically. "You think prison scares me? I have already lost everything." The front door burst open. Police officers rushed in with weapons raised. "Don't move," one shouted. Daniela dropped to her knees instantly, sobbing. Felicia did not look at her again. As Daniela was handcuffed and led away, she turned her head back and screamed, "You think you won, Felicia, but Nicholas will destroy you from that wheelchair." Felicia's chest tightened, but she did not respond. When the house finally grew quiet again, Hilda collapsed onto the couch, shaking. Felicia sat beside her. "It's over," Felicia said softly. Hilda shook her head. "No, not yet." Felicia looked at her. Hilda swallowed. "Nicholas, he will not stop." Felicia knew she was right. The next morning, the news exploded. Headlines filled screens. CEO survives murder plot by husband and secretary company. Scandal shakes business world. Felicia stood in her office, watching silently. Her phone rang. It was the hospital. "Mrs. Okoye," the nurse said carefully, "your husband insists on seeing you. He says it is urgent." Felicia closed her eyes. "Tell him," she said slowly, "I am on my way." At the hospital, Nicholas sat in his wheelchair near the window, staring outside. When Felicia entered, he turned slowly. His face looked broken. "They arrested Dianiela," he said quietly. "Yes," Felicia replied. Nicholas laughed weakly. "She abandoned me." Felicia said nothing. Nicholas's eyes filled with tears. "I lost everything, Felicia." Felicia stepped closer. "You chose this path." Nicholas nodded. "I know." He looked up at her suddenly. "But I still have something you want." Felicia stiffened. "What?" Nicholas leaned forward slightly. "The backup share key," he whispered. "The one that can still affect the company." Felicia's heart dropped. Nicholas smiled faintly. "I hid it." Silence filled the room. "What do you want?" Felicia asked. Nicholas swallowed. "Forgiveness, and a place to stay." Felicia straightened slowly. "You want to bargain," she said. Nicholas nodded. "If you throw me out completely, I might forget where I hid it." Felicia stared at him, anger and disbelief burning inside her. This man had tried to kill her, and still, he was trying to control her. Felicia leaned down until they were eye to eye. "You are in a wheelchair," she said quietly. "But you are still dangerous." Nicholas whispered, "So are you." Felicia stood upright again. "I will think about it," she said. Nicholas exhaled in relief. Felicia turned and walked out. Outside the room, Hilda waited. "What did he say?" Hilda asked. Felicia paused. "He thinks he still owns part of my life," Felicia said. Hilda shook her head. "You cannot let him win." Felicia looked down at Hilda. "I won't," she said softly. "But this time, I will end it properly." As they walked down the hospital hallway, Felicia's phone buzzed again. A message. Unknown number. "The key is not where you think." Tick-tock. Felicia stopped walking, her jaw tightened. Because she knew now. Nicholas was not finished, and the final battle was about to begin. Felicia did not respond to the message. She had learned something important over the past few days. Panic helped her enemies, not her. Calm thinking had saved her life once already. It would save her again. She placed her phone inside her bag and continued walking down the hospital hallway with Hilda beside her. "Madam," Hilda said carefully, "what are you thinking?" Felicia stopped and looked at her. "I'm thinking," she said, "that Nicholas still believes he can control me." Hilda frowned. "But he cannot even walk." Felicia nodded. "Power does not always sit in the legs. Sometimes it hides in secrets." That same evening, Felicia called an emergency meeting. Not with the board, not with lawyers, but with her most trusted internal security team and forensic auditors. She sat at the head of the table, her face calm but firm. "My husband claims he has a backup share key," she said. "I want it found, quietly." One of the auditors adjusted his glasses. "Madam, if such a key exists, it must be tied to an old offline vault." Felicia nodded. "Search everywhere, offices, storage, old properties." Then she added, "And check the hospital." Everyone looked up. "The hospital?" the head of security asked. Felicia's eyes hardened. Nicholas likes to feel clever. He hides things where he feels safe. The search began immediately. While others moved, Felicia returned home with Hilda. The mansion no longer felt cold. It felt clean, like poison had been washed out of its walls. That night, Felicia could not sleep. She walked to the kitchen, the same kitchen where she had almost died. She stood there quietly, replaying everything. Nicholas's voice, the phone call, the syringe. And then she froze. Her eyes moved slowly to a small cabinet above the sink. Felicia stepped closer. She opened it. Inside were old cleaning supplies, unused, forgotten, but one bottle was heavier than the others. Felicia lifted it. Something rattled inside. Her heart pounded. She unscrewed the cap. A small sealed plastic tube dropped into her palm. Inside it was a flash drive. Felicia closed her eyes. "So this is where you hid it," she whispered. The next morning, Felicia returned to the hospital alone. Nicholas sat by the window, staring outside like a man already living in the past. "You found it," he said quietly, without turning. Felicia stopped walking. "So you knew," she said. Nicholas laughed bitterly. You always were smart. Felicia stepped in front of him and held up the flash drive. This? She asked. Nicholas finally looked at her. His face crumbled. I wanted to matter, he whispered. I lived in your shadow for years. Felicia's voice was steady. You lived in comfort. You lived in respect. You chose greed. Nicholas's eyes filled with tears. I loved you once, he said. Felicia nodded. I believe that. But love does not plan murder. She placed the flash drive on the table beside him. This ends now, she said. I will not destroy you, but I will never protect you again. Nicholas shook his head slowly. Where will I go? Felicia answered without hesitation. You will leave my life completely. 2 days later, Nicholas was discharged. No convoy, no luxury, no mansion. He was taken to a small government facility temporarily, then released. Felicia did not follow. She did not look back. Weeks passed. The company stabilized. Dianiela was charged and later sentenced. The board reaffirmed Felicia's position with full confidence. Then one afternoon, Felicia called Hilda into her office. Hilda, she said, smiling gently, sit. Hilda sat nervously. Felicia slid a document across the table. I am adopting you, Felicia said simply. Hilda froze. Madam? What? Felicia reached for her hand. You saved my life, but more than that, you showed courage when it mattered. Hilda burst into tears. I have never had anyone call me family, she sobbed. Felicia smiled warmly. You do now. Felicia sponsored Hilda through university. 4 years passed like pages turning. Hilda studied hard. She grew confident, strong. On graduation day, Felicia sat in the front row, clapping the loudest. Then came the company's annual award night. The hall was full. Cameras flashed. The host smiled brightly. And now, he announced, the award for Most Loyal Staff Member of the Year goes to Hilda Okafor. Hilda walked onto the stage, shaking, tears rolling down her face. Felicia joined her and took the microphone. This young woman, Felicia said, her voice clear and emotional, whispered 4 words that saved my life. Don't talk. Just listen. The hall went silent. Felicia continued, the world needs more people like Hilda. Loyalty like this cannot be bought. The crowd rose in applause. Far away, under the Oshodi Bridge, Nicholas sat in a wheelchair, holding out his hands for spare coins. His clothes were worn, his hair unkempt. When Felicia's convoy passed one afternoon, he recognized the cars. Tears rolled down his face. Dianiela was gone, married, living abroad, her name forgotten. Felicia never looked back again. She had learned the truth. Sometimes the poorest voice in the room carries the loudest warning. And sometimes, listening saves your life. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.